What is going on, guys? Grave here. Welcome back to Buried Headlines, where we cover some of the news from this past week in gaming. This week, we learned Microsoft is still supporting the Xbox. We got some next-gen reveals from the GDC event about the Project Helix. Also, Battlefield had some surprising layoffs, and Sony is quietly testing dynamic pricing across the PlayStation Store. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. The Microsoft leadership team is trying to make sure that people know they're going to continue to invest in the Xbox. A lot of analysts out there were speculating that Microsoft was really going to go away from the Xbox. They were going to put their money and efforts into other things. And Microsoft came out and said, we'll continue to invest as we always do so. So they're trying to say internally and out in public that they're going through some changes, but they're going to stabilize and continue to do what they've always done with Xbox. They have had a lot of restructuring as of late, and despite the leadership changes, their long-term commitment is to Xbox Game Pass and first-party development. Now, this kind of leads into the second story, and that is about the Project Helix. We did get a little bit of a tease last week about this, but at the recent GDC event, they kind of pulled back the curtain on the next-gen Xbox and gave us a little bit more about what it will be able to do. They talked about how, of course, it's going to play Xbox games and PC games. It's going to have a custom AMD that's going to be designed for next generation of DirectX. It's going to have next-gen ray tracing, a GPU-directed work graph execution for massive efficiency gains, AMD FSR plus Helix ML stack, neural rendering, deep texture compression and neural texture compression, and direct storage with ZSTD. In short, they're trying to show off how this is going to perform a lot like a console, but be in line with the rendering tech, the upscaling, and the performance of a PC. This is a big leap in kind of comparison, I guess, from what they have done in the past. The Xbox One was not a success to their standards. The Series S and the X kind of fell in the same kind of idea there, that it wasn't really what Xbox expected from their consoles. This, of course, has raised a lot of questions which we will not know the answer to for a while. They did say that dev kits for the new Xbox will go out in 2027. Some people are still speculating this will come out in 27 or 28. We'll have to wait and see. The biggest talking point here, of course, is price. We all know that PC parts are outrageous right now. People are not really understanding how they're going to build anything like this that is so similar to a PC for under, 900 to 1,000, kind of retail price. And that's getting pretty expensive, of course, for a console. When I see this, I kind of think about console gaming in general over all these years. And this is kind of getting to a point when you think, what makes a console a console? Because this sounds more and more like a PC that just plays console games. We'll have to wait and see when everything is revealed. But this was interesting to get some more information this quickly about that new project that they are working on for their next generation of console. The next story is going to be about Battlefield. EA is having some surprising layoffs, even though Battlefield was the top-selling game of 2025 inside of the US, and it even broke franchise records. EA confirmed that staff cuts will be across all 4 Battlefield studios. They called it a realignment, saying the goal is to better focus teams around what players care about most. All studios remain open, and EA says Battlefield is still one of their biggest priorities, with development guided heavily by player feedback and Battlefield Labs data. This is kind of a tough situation where you have massive success on one side and restructuring on the other. Of course, we don't know the reasoning for this. This may have been planned the entire time. This may be one of those situations where you have to have more people making a game before release than you need working on the game after release. We're just not sure why or even the numbers of the amount of layoffs here. I am glad that, of course, they did not close any of these studios. It's always a shame to hear any of these studios laying off people whatsoever. But when this news first came out, I think a lot of people were concerned that they were going to start closing some of these studios that are working on Battlefield. The game was such a massive success; it was a good one for EA because they've not really had any big successes over the last couple of years, and I think they were banking on Battlefield 6 doing well. And even though the player count has dropped, I think the devs are really listening now. They're starting to implement a lot of the changes that the player base is wanting. I'm hoping we get more maps inside of Battlefield. That is one of the biggest issues inside of the community right now. Only getting 2 maps per season instead of what we used to get in older Battlefield titles. Now things have changed. All games nowadays are more live service, and I don't think they can get these maps out as quickly. It doesn't seem with live service games. But that is one thing that I think the community wants the most, besides the other fixes, of course. And hopefully they do not get rid of too many people to where they can continue to get all of this stuff out as quickly as possible so you don't lose more players down the road. And the last story for the day is going to be Sony testing dynamic pricing. Sony is running one of the largest pricing experiments the PlayStation Store has ever seen, and this started last year in November in 2025. They have been A/B testing dynamic prices across the store. It started with 50 different games in 30 regions and now has grown to 190 games in 70 plus regions, including the US, which is PlayStation's biggest market. The only market not included in this right now that is a large market for, of course, the PlayStation is Japan. But some users are seeing discounts up to around 30% on major titles. A lot of people are kind of trying to figure out why they're doing this. When I look at it, it makes me think, first of all, are they doing this to see if different parts of the world will buy things if the prices are cheaper or whatever the case may be? Maybe they're trying to figure out financially what people can afford. Some people have even said, are they doing this to change the prices everywhere? The prices in the store won't be the same for any different region, no matter the time. So, for example, let's say a new Spider-Man game comes out, or we take Wolverine. It's going to be full price, when it releases. But in certain regions, after a couple months, it will go on sale where it will still be full price in other regions. I'm not sure if that's what they're trying to do. A lot of people don't like that idea because some people will be getting some things cheaper. But I'm not sure, like I said, if it's just something they're trying to do based on the areas that they're selling in to see if people will buy more games at cheaper prices. The one thing I think a lot of us would like to see is a cheaper price on PlayStation Plus. I wish they would push that one through for everyone. But this was kind of interesting that Sony has been doing this for such a long period of time now. I will be curious to see if we ever get any kind of statement from Sony about what kind of data they are trying to gather here, because there's a lot of speculation about what they may be trying to do with this new dynamic pricing test. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this week's gaming news here on Buried Headlines. And if you liked the video, hit the like. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.